You're listening to Greater Good Radio Hawaii. Please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. Today's guest is Don Soderquist, former Senior Vice Chairman of Wal-Mart Inc. and Executive in Residence of the Soderquist Center that provides ethical leadership training for nonprofit, corporate, and student organizations around the world.
Don, we're talking about leadership and we're talking about vision. After you had retired from Wal-Mart, you started the Soderquist Center. What made you want to start a whole new career, basically, instead of just, buying a yacht and sailing the South Pacific?
Well, that's I'm asked that a lot by a lot of people. Even my children say, "Dad, how do you spell retirement? What's the deal?" And I could have done just about anything I wanted to do, but I will tell you that I was really concerned about what I saw taking place in our society. And I was concerned about what I would call a blurring of right and wrong, where when I was raised, my mom and dad taught me what was right and wrong, and there was no question in my mind. They also taught me there were consequences of doing wrong. And the interesting thing about it was my teachers in school backed them up. And my teachers in school basically had the same list of right and wrongs. I don't like to put it in the form of a list, but it was very clear. Our neighbors, my relatives, the mayor of the town, my pastor at church, my youth leader, they all had pretty much a common set of rights and wrongs. Today, I see a change taking place in our society where that's becoming blurred. And that was a great distress to me. And we began talking about this in 1997 before I retired. And we began our center in 1998 because I had a passion to do what I could to help other people. It's not unlike your radio station, your program here. What you're trying to do is, I love what you're trying to do. You're trying to encourage entrepreneurs, here in the islands as related to listening to individuals who might share experiences that might be helpful to them. And so I love what you're doing. You have a passion for this or you wouldn't have started it. I had a passion to see if we could reach leaders, particularly leaders, CEOs and COOs of companies, and help them to realize that the ethics in our country are sinking, and it is a slippery slope, and it can happen in any company. And that was of great concern to me. And I thought, well, based on my experience at Wal-Mart and what I did learn there and what I spent my life on at Wal-Mart, I thought I might be able to share that with other people and encourage them. And I have to tell you that I am absolutely amazed and delighted at the results of what we're doing in the center. There's people calling me back that have attended and said, "You know what, Don, I never would have looked at this as an ethical dilemma before, but you've made me conscious of the fact that there is a right and there is a wrong." And what we try to do is encourage leaders to, first of all, know what your values are. It's amazing how many leaders have never written down what their values are. They don't know what they stand for. And so we encourage them to write down on a piece of paper what their what their values are. What is right and wrong in your mind? Then when they come to ethical crossroads, they have a sense they've already thought this through, and it isn't like being faced with a decision I got to make right now. And sometimes people rationalize decisions. And there was an article in Fortune magazine back in 2002, after all of this stuff started breaking loose in 2000, 2001. And they looked at these companies that had the largest ethical breaches, and the conclusion they came to was an incremental descent into bad judgment until the violation of standards became the standard. These people, I don't believe for 1 minute, started out to be bad people. These were looked upon as well-respected business leaders in our country. And I think what happened is, with their compensations tied to stock price and to options and all the rest of that, they would make little steps down the road. And at first they were little, and they kept getting bigger and bigger. And the more they got away with it, they made bigger and bigger judgments. In retrospect, as we look at them, we say, how could they ever have done this? Were their consciences seared as related to what is right and what is wrong? And so So again, we're dealing with leaders, and what we want to have happen is those leaders have a great impact on the people that they work with, and they can influence them, and also make sure that they've got a healthy company from ethical standards. Ethical breaches are taking place still today. We're not through this at all levels in companies. And unfortunately, sometimes the senior leaders know it and they don't do anything about it. And so I'm very much concerned about it. And but we've got testimonial after testimonial of people that say, thank you for alerting us to this and raising the yellow flag for us, because it can happen to us too. It can happen to anywhere. Walmart has had its own set of ethical breaches, I might add, which grieve me to no end. But it can happen in any company at all.
Thanks for joining us today on Greater Good Radio. For more information or a transcript of today's show, please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. This is your host, Evan Leong and Carrie Leong, saying please join us next time for another episode of Greater Good Radio, Hawaii.